More phone calls coming up. 877-3DP show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Reggie Miller back with us. He called last night's Game 5 Heat-Bucks with Kevin Harlan. He's got Nuggets-Clippers Game 5 on Friday on TNT. And Reg joins us now from the bubble. If you're Giannis's agent, what would you advise him to do?
In terms of if he's going to re-sign the Supermax or stay in
his future,
Milwaukee,
yeah,
I would have him stay. He has carved out a niche. Milwaukee somewhat took a gamble on a kid from Greece, not knowing his potential because they drafted on potential, not seeing a lot of film on him. I would reward the team that took a gamble on me. There's other structural changes that need to go on. I wouldn't put a lot of pressure on management, but there's things that he needs to be surrounded with. They are a fantastic regular season team. They're built that way.
Yep.
They're not built for the playoffs, which in playoff basketball, you need to grind and you need to have decision makers on your team that can sift through certain changes that other teams make. And I just don't think they have that playmaker who can sift through those changes in playoff basketball.
Yeah, I wondered if Chris Paul would be a great acquisition. I know he's expensive. I know they just passed on Malcolm Brogdon, but I said this when this series started. You know what? Chris Paul, if they had that kind of player, I would look at the Bucks differently because I'd have a playoff performer, a veteran, a tough guy, a guy who can play in the half-court offense because Milwaukee is just a transitional team. And if you slow them down, then all of a sudden they're exposed. And I think Miami did a great job. And I don't know, do we give Miami the credit or do we blame Milwaukee in the kind of team that they built, that it's not a playoff basketball team, it's a regular season basketball team?
In this series, I'm going to give Miami the credit.
Okay.
Because you and I have been talking about this since the playoffs began. You and I both had Miami as the best team in the restart. Defensively, they just take you out of what you want to do. And they've got shot makers at the offensive end, and they have a bulldog leader in Jimmy Butler who holds everyone accountable. So I'm going to give Miami all the credit. But let me just say this about Chris Paul. Chris Paul would make a lot of teams right now that are still playing very good. But to me, he would be that decision maker. Would he be expensive? Yes. But my question to the Milwaukee Brass, do you want to win now? For the last 2 seasons, you've had the overall best record in the game. Everyone had to come through you. Now, again, this year is a little bit different because everyone's on equal footing. There is no home court advantage, but still, you've had the best record in the league the last 2 seasons, and you really have nothing to show for it. You were up 2-0 on Toronto last year and lost 4 straight. And for whatever reason, in the restart, you just didn't look like the same team that when play was stopped mid-March and you have the best record, things, for whatever reason, just wasn't there. And,
they won as many games, Reg, I think, in the bubble as the Phoenix Suns did.
Yes.
And the Phoenix Suns didn't make the playoffs.
No. And look, I'm sure there's a lot of blame to go around. They just didn't perform up to expectations. And where's that going to fall on? You have to look at Giannis because his game has to be better. Because, again, he is still limited. As great as he is at 25, will be a 2-time MVP.
But what would you do in the offseason with him?
He's got to become a better shooter. He's got to become a better shooter.
Okay.
If he becomes a better shooter, everything else is mute. He shoots threes. He barely shoots a mid-range game, but it's almost hard to watch because he's so talented, and to me it's more about repetition. I don't care what his shooting form is. I just don't think he trusts his jump shot. If he gets a jump shot to keep the defense honest, now we're talking a different story because we kind of said the same thing about MJ. MJ was unbelievable athletic his first 2 or 3 years, an all-star, an MVP candidate, all that. But once he got that jump shot, he was unguardable.
Are the Rockets built for the regular season and not the postseason as well?
They've gone through so many different experiments, though. Right now, playing small ball, you could put them in that same category with Milwaukee. I think they surprised the Lakers in game one. I thought the Lakers mailed game one in just like they mailed game one in versus Portland, and they got their attention. I think if the Lakers play like this and they get contributions from the bench like we saw last night, they can become unbeatable. And LeBron James, again, has taken his game to a different level. I was watching that, and, they kept referring, his 17th season, he was playing like it was his 7th season in the league.
Yeah.
Between the block shots, the defense, it's just phenomenal to watch because, I played 18 years, and I tell you this all the time. My 17th and 18th year, every time I got out of bed, it was, oh my goodness, there was a new bone that hurt on me. And for him to play at this level in his 17th season is just absolutely remarkable.
But his defense you have to want to play defense? Or is there more to this? Because LeBron does have those moments. When you think about great players of all time, how many players, their second, third, fourth biggest moment is actually a defensive play? And sure. LeBron had that on Andre Iguodala. Michael Jordan had that steal against Karl Malone that set up the shot. Like, how many great players are known for their a defensive moment in their career? So we know LeBron's capable of doing it. It's just, is it more just effort that you have to want to do it?
Oh, defense is all effort. And you can't burn the candle at both ends because LeBron knows they also need his scoring and his playmaking. So he can't exert every defensive effort every single time at the defensive end. Are there going to be plays like we saw last night? I mean, there were 4 unbelievable chase down blocks from LeBron or weak side blocks from LeBron. He gives the effort when the effort is needed. But remember, the effort is also needed for him to score, 25 plus points and to be the facilitator on that team as well. I think he picks and chooses his moments when to ramp up that defensive effort.
How do you explain Rajon Rondo?
You and I said this, that Rondo was going to be the missing piece for this team with no Avery Bradley and then him missing, I don't know how many games because of the thumb injury. Can he play like that all the time? Because he takes the ball out LeBron's hands and allows him to run the lanes, to be a little bit more aggressive in the offense, not always, being the ball facilitator. Rondo relieves that pressure. And he's good defensively, as we saw last night. And it's found money when he's knocking down threes in his offense. I mean, I don't know if he'll get 20 more points the rest of this series. But that was something to see because he just adds another veteran presence and a guy that's won a championship, and LeBron trusts that.
That Kawhi block the other night on Jamal Murray.
Was that unbelievable? I mean, in real time, I was like, oh, wow, that's a nice block. But when they slowed it down, and he literally was giving Jamal Murray the middle finger on that block. It was that just shows you what a freak he is defensively as well.
But remember when guys would say, well, the reason why big men can't shoot free throws, their hands are too big. Kawhi's got the biggest hands in the NBA probably. And I don't, like Shaq just didn't have good form. Like he didn't have any follow through, had no touch. But, Kareem had nice touch from the line. Karl Malone became a very good free throw shooter. What is it about, Kristaps Porzingis, a good free throw shooter?
And this is my case in point for Giannis. I think Kawhi is a case study because they almost have the same amount of big hands because Giannis has huge hands as well. So if Kawhi can become a great scorer and shooter, so can Giannis. The reason why Kawhi is so good, he puts in the time. Chad Forcier, who was an assistant coach in San Antonio the first, I believe, 3 or 4 years with Kawhi, that's all they used to work on was footworks, mechanics, and follow through and shooting form. And I think that's what Giannis needs. He needs a coach who's going to be with him 24/7, and that's all we're going to work on is our shooting mechanics, our footwork, just so it's a drill that's repetitive in his head.
Do you think you could have made Shaq a good free throw shooter?
I don't think Shaq needed it. Like Shaq always says, I made them when I had to make them. Shaq was so dominant. I don't know if you can make anyone a great free throw shooter. To me, it's all about confidence. And Shaq is brimming with confidence. And he made them when he had to make them. You know, he made them against us. And we made it a point that he was going to shoot 20 free throws a game in the finals in 2000. And he only shot 40%, but when it became winning time in the fourth, when we fouled him, he made him.
He says all the time whenever I bring up free throws, he'll be like, Dan Patrick, I make them when I need to make them. And he said to me one time, he goes, I once made 20 in a row in practice. And I go, well, that's great.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
But imagine what he would have done. Let's say he was a 70% free throw shooter.
If he was a 70%, well, number one, he would be the number one scorer in the league right now. He would have overtook Kareem. Think about that. If he was 70 or 75% from the free throw line, he would have been almost 45, 50,000 points.
He would have added more, probably 5 more points per game.
Yes.
So, and by the way, you caught a little bit of grief where you said, I saw it on social media. Didn't you say that you would average?
I would average 45 points in today's game if the way they play defense today, where you can't hand check, you can't contest shots, you got to come on the side.
45?
Okay, and then KD came back and said fabrication. He's right on that. 43.8. I was trying to round up.
Okay.
43.8.
But if you say you could do 45, what about these other guys who are playing in today's
Jordan would have averaged 45, 50.
In today's game.
The point I was making is you allow great shooters freedom to roam, freedom with no hand check. You can't crowd me, and I got a clear sight at the rim, then it's going to be lights out, baby. That's the point I was making when I was like, I would average 45. So I wanted to throw a crazy number out there to get people's attention.
You did.
So I'm glad KD or whoever's controlling KD's burners account was listening to that and responded. But it's so hard to play defense in today's game because they allow the offense to go wherever they want.
Okay, but if Jordan's averaging, I mean, be honest here. If Jordan in his prime, Jordan in the early 90s is averaging.
Today's rules.
Yeah, today's rules is averaging 40.
He would average 40.
Okay.
I think he would average 40.
Okay, but didn't he average 39 one year or 37.1? So Kobe's going to average 40.
Kobe would be up there. Kobe would be up there as well.
Who else?
Great scores like.
Because you got to be able to shoot the three now. So, like Iverson.
I think Larry Legend could have averaged 30, 35, the way he was able to shoot threes.
Well, he averaged 30 a couple of times. So, and add in the three and these rules, then he probably 35, 36 a game. But yes. Iverson didn't shoot the three.
But he was capable of making them, though. And he got fouled a lot. And remember, he was part of the era where you could hand check. You can't hand check him now. He can run anywhere he wants. Iverson's up there too.
Trying to think who else down through history where you go, that person in today's rules. Because Shaq, this doesn't, like today's rules does that impact Shaq on what he would average?
A little bit, because Shaq, he was the modern day Mike Tyson. You feared him. He went through you. He intimidated you. And all his power now, a lot of shots he put on centers, he was taking their necks and jaws off, and they would go to the videotape. So I think he would be hindered in today's game. He would still be very effective and a Hall of Fame player, but the power and intimidation, a lot of that may be taken away.
But if Steph Curry played when you played, what kind of impact does Steph Curry have on the game?
One thing he always has going for him is he's a shooter.
Yeah, but you're going to have your hands on him. I'm going to be physical on him, allowed to knock him down.
He would adapt.
He's not going to be able to shoot that many threes.
Well, you didn't back then. You didn't. But he can shoot mid-range.
Can you imagine if I just put him in this time warp and I put him back in the 90s and he's going against the Pistons and he steps on the court and he thinks he's playing.
Joe Dumars is able to hold him like this. He would find a way, though. He would find a way. All great scorers and shooters, they find a way. They adapt.
Would you rather have Isaiah as your teammate or Steph Curry?
Oh, man. Okay, hold on. Isaiah, in today's rules, might put up 30, 35. Isaiah Thomas,
yeah.
He might put up 30, 35.
So who would you take?
Who would I want? Can I have them both?
Oh,
I can't have them both, Theodore.
No, you're getting nervous if you're afraid by a dog, Reg.
I got to play on the team with him. Isaiah is a little bit more of a traditional point guard and would set me up. Who would I love to be on the same team and shoot with? Steph. Would you want to
play with Harden or Westbrook?
Harden.
But would you want to play on the same team? You're not going to get any shots.
Yes, I would.
No.
I can play the Covington PJ Tucker role.
No, you're going to need more shots.
I can be Daniel House. You can't tell me I can't be Daniel House and just camp in the corner. I can't be Robert Covington.
You're going to want the ball. You're not going to want to average 13 a game.
You're talking about my mentality? You're probably right.
Because you're a better shooter than Harden.
Harden can shoot, though.
Is Harden a better shooter than you?
Why are you doing this to me?
I don't know.
Why are you doing this to me?
I don't know. It's just our relationship. Is Harden a better shooter than you?
No. Right now, yes.
Barely.
I'm 55 years old. In my prime, I will put my right arm against anyone. In my prime.
Even Steph.
In my prime, I'm putting my right arm against anyone in my prime.
Are you better than Steph in your prime?
Steph is going to go down arguably as the greatest shooter ever. If not,
he already is.
He already is.
Yeah.
He is the greatest shooter. But I'll be his huckleberry.
But would you rather shoot like Klay Thompson or Steph Curry?
Steph is smooth, man.
Yeah, but Klay's got that's textbook form right there.
Steph got all that. He has all this.
Yeah, I know.
I had all that. I want all that. Steph is good, man. Steph is good.
Yeah. How about Chris Mullin in today's game?
Yeah, Chris would be.
Although he was a mid-range jumper, right? He loved the mid-range jumper.
Yeah, but was he money in the mid-range? I mean, you talk about automatic.
Yeah, he was great.
And
great
it didn't matter about the defense being all in his face. Chris Mullin was a straight up killer.
All right, you got Clippers and Nuggets Game 5 on Friday on TNT. And you know what time that game starts? I
have no idea.
They haven't even.
They don't tell me anything. They don't. They just say show up. Show up in your bubble arena and have fun.
Tell Kevin Harlan we said hello, and great to talk to you. Hope I got you in trouble today.
Theodore, you did. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Twitter's
I'm sure.
going crazy right now.
Somebody, yeah. Thank you, Reg.
Something.
Thank you, Reg. We'll take a break. We're back after this.